I don't see stuff like some people or hear things too much, but I feel energy. I feel vibes, if you will. So however I come to you and I move my light, it can either lift you up or it can drop you.
It's easy to say, hey, don't think negative, right? Let's think positive.
Me, I am a mirror to you. I am a different version of you here.
I love myself. I love myself. I love myself.
Flow state is where, have you ever seen the movie Limitless?
Yes.
It's that.
Oh, okay.
Without drugs, just
Gotcha.
natural. When you give energy to something, you attract it closer to you. And so all together, as a whole, we all make up God as a whole, right? But we are all like a body or a cell. We're all a part of that one body.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Be Frank Podcast. Today's episode would be 39. Well, thank you guys for coming back. And a lot of you guys may be going through some stuff, and then maybe, going through anxiety, depression, or something like that. Maybe like you want to be happy. And then those people who are searching for coaching for your life, maybe that's somebody you want to listen to this episode. Today we have a guest, Zacharyah Jones. He is author. Also, he's a life coach. And I can't wait to learn more about being happy and anxiety and all kinds of stuff people not want to talk about sometimes, but we're going to talk about that today. So welcome so much for coming to the show.
Good day. Thank you. So this is your gift.
A gift.
Yes.
To relax clean.
That is a anti-anxiety cream.
Anti-anxiety cream.
So what is the chances that...
Well, I'm having anxiety of opening this.
You want me to get it?
Yeah, I got it.
It's a good twist.
Yeah.
Give it a good twist.
Yeah, I got it.
There we go. So I deal with a lot of herbs. They call me an herbalist. I have a book about herbs.
Cool.
And what I use ashwagandha, which if you know a little bit about ashwagandha, it's very calming. It's really good for the brain. It helps bring back memory.
Where do I put it?
So that cream, I take a little bit, and then I rub it on the back of my neck. And you could also put it on your temples too, but the back of your neck is the best spot. And it definitely helps. But again, a lot of it is up here, is the thoughts. But so that has ashwagandha, lavender, and mugwort. And those are some very, very powerful herbs. So I want you to enjoy that. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for coming. So like people who doesn't know about you, if you're writing a website, if you have to make a website today, and you have to write the bio, what would that bio say?
Oh man, I am a interstellar traveler from multiple realities, and I'm just here having fun, enjoying life, and sharing my life and my light with others. That's part of my fruit. I'm a tree and I produce fruit, I can't hold on to it or it'll weigh me down. So when things come to me, I like to share. Yeah.
Perfect. I would like to hear all about it. I mean, you want to talk about life coaching stuff a little bit? What is a life coach anyways?
So different people see it in different ways. Some people see it as like the alternative to a therapist. Some people see it as like a spiritual coach, a spiritual mentor. A lot of life coaches, they're very intuitive, so they have abilities, right? Me, what do they call it? I can feel energy. So intangible things. I don't see stuff like some people or hear things too much, but I feel energy. I feel vibes, if you will. So like when people have anxiety, I can feel it.
Yeah.
And it affects me. I'm like, what is this? So when I was younger, I used to think it was me.
Yeah.
Or even when somebody would be angry, I thought it was me. And then I realized this is happening when this happens. This is this person.
Yeah.
And I remember one time I was on the phone with my friend.
Yeah.
And he was watching a scary movie. And we were talking and I felt all this fear come over me. And I was like, what is this? And I was like, hey, man, are you watching this with your daughter? And he was like, yeah, she's right here. And I was like, bro, she's scared. And I was feeling her actual fear over the phone. So this energy thing, it's like, it's everywhere. It's like, it's no limits to it. But yeah, so now I teach people about what their energy is and how to better channel it and live a more productive, happy life, you know?
Yeah.
That's what I do as a life coach. Some people are just like motivating and like, you can do it. And yada. I don't really do all that.
So like a more deep dive into it to find the happiness.
Right. Get into the root issues of the problems, the trauma, because everybody has grown up with the trauma. Some people say it's from their past life if you're into that philosophy.
That is very interesting. So you're saying that to find a happiness, you have to deal with the trauma?
Mm-hmm.
So how do you define the happiness?
Well, everybody's happiness is different.
Mm-hmm.
It's usually something that you've had or experienced as a child. That's why I had asked you earlier, when do you remember your happy moments, right? So for me, when I was a kid, I remember when I was like 3, I remember watching Jurassic Park in the theater, and it like blew my mind, and imagination like, that's why I picked up a camera for some time, you know? Cool. But that made me happy. But my wife, she didn't experience that when she was a kid, so her happiness is a little different, right? It's still equal, but so happiness to me is, there's happiness and then there's joy. These are all emotions, right? And so your emotions, that's your inner G in motion. And your inner G is your inner God. So happiness, fear, anger, this is your inner God in motion. And how you move it or direct it, it changes people, right? It's your light. Because literally, like, your emotions are like vibrations, frequencies, right? And all frequencies on the electromagnetic spectrum is light. It's all light, right? Mm-hmm. So however I come to you and I move my light, it can either lift you up or it can drop you, right? Have you experienced that, where you were having a happy day and someone came to you and they gave you some heat and it just brought you way down? It was like, what was that? What happened? It was their light. They projected it on you, right? And it happened because somebody did it to them. And the cycle, that's that trauma cycle. Yeah. So getting back to the root of when it stemmed, when it happened, you know, and cutting that root and putting in some fresh seeds, some new ideas, that's the secret. Once you start doing that, man, you have your own fruit tree. You already do, man. You do. You got some good fruit.
Thank you. I'm trying to. And then so what you're saying is deal with trauma and stuff, but you just put in a new stuff to be happy, right? But also I don't know, like a joy and a happiness, you say it's an emotion. Is that different, right?
So joy is happiness and relaxation at the same time. Right? So you could be excited, and that's joy too, I guess. But to me, joy is like, I'm happy, but I'm relaxed. I'm not like scared or nervous or anything. I'm confident, right? And I'm not saying that you should strive to have that your entire life at all times. Mm-hmm. It's important that, like photography, you know, you should know this, the importance of light and dark. And knowing how to contour those two things. And that's how I see emotions. You know, sometimes anger is needed. It's necessary. Right? And sometimes sadness is necessary. You got to get rid of all that stuff that's built in. You release it through sadness. Yeah. So it's really, instead of just searching for happiness all day long, it's more about being the master of those emotions and learning how to maneuver them, and getting your will, getting what you want in life, right, and bringing happiness to others. So, but I'll say the secret with that is, I keep saying the secret, it's not a secret, but when you have like anger or you have fear, one thing you can do is just convert the thought, because the thought, it's what the way I like to explain it is your thoughts are like a boat, and your emotions are like the fuel pushing it forward. And so it's going to go to the destination of whatever that thought is. It's like the GPS, right? And we're the ship. And so if you can use that negative emotion, you can use it and just change the thought, and it will still get you to where you want to go, right? So when you find yourself sad or angry or fearful, instead of thinking of those antagonizing thoughts, change it to I'm at peace, or change it to I'm rich, right? Change it to that, because it's just gonna keep manifesting that direction.
Can you kind of give me an example?
Give you an example.
Yeah, like what did you feel fear, and then you change that change the thoughts to where you went to go.
So I think let me see. I want to give this some little time. A good example, I would say, is what do most people worry about in life? What would you say?
I think second fear is like public speaking, maybe, or but like also maybe not being loved, maybe. Maybe that's be fear.
So I like the first one.
Yeah.
Because I had even started to feel a little anxiety on the way here, and I was like, what is this? What's going on? I do this all the time.
Yeah.
But I felt it. But then I converted the thought. I said, okay, well, while this energy is with me, let me convert it. And I started imagining us right here having a beautiful conversation. And so far, it's been pretty good.
Yeah.
So that's simple. Like, that's what you do. But to be honest, it's the words, the thoughts that trigger the emotions. And so if you can stop the thoughts or convert the thoughts before they even trigger the emotions, then you can have so much more peace in life. And so like we were saying in the other video, the average person has 60,000 thoughts a day, and most of those thoughts are negative. And so every day you're like in this constant cycle of manifesting negative things. So
you say 85% of us negative or something like that, right?
Yeah, like 80% of the thoughts you have every day are negative, and it's the same repeating thoughts. So I come from the belief that thoughts, they're like tangible items, like seeds. And when someone gives you a thought or a suggestion, if you entertain it, then you allow that seed to grow in your mind. And eventually, if you keep entertaining it like a root or a tree, it's going to blossom and produce a fruit, right? And so that fruit is going to be something in your reality that came from that thought. Does that make sense? So now we're kind of talking about manifesting. Have you guys talked about any of that on the show? What's your knowledge on manifesting?
Manifesting, I mean, I only know, like, if you think about visualize stuff, it'll come true, you know? Yeah. I don't know much about it, but also, like, I do kind of manifest stuff.
So you see it.
Yeah.
That's one of the most important parts.
Yeah.
Is being aware of what it is around you. And the more aware you become, the more you spend time with your own thoughts, your own seed, then you will literally start to see, okay, boom, boom, boom. This all, like, is happening for a reason. And I have so much more control over my reality than I think. Even the people that come into your life, you have control over that. We can get into more of that why, but do you want to, or do you want to talk more about manifesting?
I mean, I would love to listen to.
You want me to just go with it?
Yeah. I mean, also interesting to me, what you're saying is, like, you know, you have a thoughts, and if it's negative things, if you're entertaining, becoming the fruit and the reality, it came from your mind.
Yeah.
It's like entertaining the negative thoughts, or you could change the negative thoughts, change it to a positive thoughts, and then you can entertaining the positive thoughts, and then better fruit might come out. Is that kind of what you're saying?
That's exactly it. You're very smart. Yes. And that's like the secret. So in the scriptures, and I don't push any religion, but there's a verse where it talked about David and Goliath. And it talked about how David, like, this is this giant, right? where he like chopped the head off of Goliath with his own sword. That's what this is like. It's like having a negative thought. And if you audit your thoughts every day and you realize, why am I thinking this? Or it comes to you, you audit and you catch it, you automatically convert it to the opposite thing. You say, okay, if I'm thinking this might go bad, then that means it's actually going to go really good.
Yeah.
And when you convert it, you literally chop the head off the giant with its own sword.
What is the key to the converting that thoughts though? Because sometimes, it's easy to say, hey, don't think negative, right? Just think positive. And then whenever you're going through like a downward spiral or like thinking about negative stuff, and I say, hey, don't think about it, just thinking positive, right? That's a lot of people say, and I say it to myself.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's hard, right? Like what is the steps like I can take? Say, hey, all right, I'm thinking negative. Let's think about positive. Or like, do I have to meditate at the time, or do I have to write it down, or like, what is like a actual steps that somebody can take or I can take to like convert that negative thoughts?
Yeah, to be more mindful of it when it's arriving.
Yeah.
And so you're not like just like you don't wake up like, how did I get here with all these things attacking me? Right. Well, I think first you have to understand what you are and who you are. Okay.
Man, that's gonna be a deep conversation too, but like it's hard to figure out who you are and stuff. But it's okay. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, before we go there, a simple thing that you can do is practice daily mindfulness. And so one of the suggestions, like what I teach my clients, is when we write down our affirmations, keeping those positive seeds active in your mind. It's almost like, because I also deal with a lot of people who have schizophrenia. And I believe that there is no difference between a person with schizophrenia versus an average day person. They just have the ability to hear the negative thoughts, right? So if we're really getting into it, let's get into it.
Yeah.
So our minds, we have our pineal gland, right? It produces melanin. Well, the pineal gland, it's like a doorway. It's like an intercom, right? So it produces something called DMT. Have you heard of that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that drug, right? Everybody takes, not everybody, but anyways. So DMT, so we produce that naturally. Usually we produce it in very small amounts, like when we sleep and you go to the dream world, or when someone passes away, their body produces larger amounts of it, right? And you could say it's to transition over, right? Well, people with schizophrenia, they take or their bodies produce abnormally large amounts of DMT, right? And so DMT in science, and people who take it recreationally, they take it to have trips or experiences, right? These outer body experiences. What they're doing is they're connecting to things in the invisible realm, right? So when I say invisible realm, what do I mean? I mean that you have like the sunlight and you have color. That's like less than 1% of the actual light that we like that's around us. We can only see like less than 1% of what's happening around us at all time. The rest is invisible light, okay? Sound also is light, right? It's all light, our energy. So when you take things like DMT, it allows you to see things that are invisible, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Right, in the invisible realm. So for people with schizophrenia, people think they're crazy because they're seeing things or they're hearing stuff. They're not crazy. Their minds just have the ability to they're like dreaming awake. They're like awake dreaming.
Yeah.
Right. But what happens is because they don't understand what's happening to them, they're mirroring or they're entertaining those thoughts and things that come to us like everybody else, but they actually see the thing manifest itself. Like, if that makes sense.
Kind of, yes.
So everybody else is having negative thoughts, like they're being bombarded with it all day long, but they don't hear it. It comes off as it's them thinking it. Whereas the schizophrenia, that person, it's separate from them. It's a separate voice, right?
Yeah.
So the question is, where do the voices come from?
Yeah, where does that come from?
Well, they come from this reality the reality that people are living in. You turn on the news, what do? You see a lot of negativity, a lot of fear, right? You go outside, you go to a workplace, people are talking about negative things. So all this negativity, these voices, these things, they travel, it's sound, it stays in the atmosphere, right? So it's like, I don't know if you ever saw it in science class, but the science teacher would say, or he would show you something where it would show like radio waves and all these different signals, and it's like they're all around us at all times, but we can't see them, but they're still all around us at all times. It's like a highway of all this stuff passing through. So that's how thoughts travel. So I could be by you, spend some time with you, and be thinking something, and you pick up on the thought and say it to me. Have you ever done that with somebody?
I kind of, yeah, sometimes, like, like if you kind of talking about the things and their vocabulary changes too, or something like that.
A lot of times it happens with our like significant other. Like I've noticed it specifically with my wife. If I don't, like if something comes to my mind and I don't say it, she literally says it. And at first I used to get shocked. I was like, what in the world? But now I'm like, she picks up on my thoughts. Or you could even be at like a hotel and there could be somebody next to you in a separate room and they're having like an argument.
Yeah.
That energy transfers over and you could start having an argument with your spouse and like, where is this coming from?
Right.
So these thoughts and stuff, it's invisible, but it's all around us. So getting back to, we got to get back because we went a long ways out.
Yeah.
So getting back, what was the original question?
How do you change negative thoughts to positive thoughts?
Okay, so negative thoughts. We talked about schizophrenia. We went everywhere.
Yeah.
So to change it, you have to counter the thoughts with your own thoughts. You have to speak positively and you have to record it and listen to it constantly until it becomes habitual. Okay?
So it's kind of like a self-affirmation, and then like I've read a book called Love Yourself Like Your Life Depend on It.
It does.
And then it's kind of like that book starts, I think, I love myself, I love myself, I love myself. That's like how the book starts. And then he says that to the mirror and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. The power of loving yourself and saying that to your mirror, I think have a power. I think that was a book about it.
Yeah, it really does. That's what happened with me. It was like 2018. I was suffering from like really bad depression and I didn't know what was going on. And then one day, like a thought came to my mind and it was like, record your thoughts, record your words, speak positively into the microphone and listen to it. And within a week, that depression was like, and so I was like, what is this? And I talk about this in my book. So after I did that, I started doing it more and more. And I would speak and then I would listen to myself. And then.
What was that like a positive thoughts it came to you?
I'm a handsome, beautiful black man. I'm rich. I'm successful, right? I'm all these things. I'm whatever. Like one thing that really came to me was everything you need in life is already in you. And I didn't know what that meant at the time. I just know that was the thought that kept coming to me. It's all within you. And you have a universe within you. You are the conductor of your own train of thought. You are the key to success. So it came to the point where I was getting in the shower, which is also therapeutic, and I would just sit there and record myself. And there was this one time where I swear, I have the recording where I don't know whose voice it was. That was the thing. I didn't know my voice, but it was so powerful, the positive things that were coming out of my mouth. I was like, what is this? What is this? Now I know, like, okay, this is like higher self type stuff. This is me from the future trying to help myself now. But it was so powerful that it changed my whole life. I started to go into flow states, and I didn't even know what flow state was at the time. Are you familiar with it? Mm-hmm. So flow state is where, have you ever seen the movie Limitless?
Yes.
It's that.
Oh, okay.
Without drugs, just natural. And that's what happened after I kept recording my voice and listening. So I started to ask questions, because what was happening was I would say something in the recording, listen to it, and then the thing would appear. And I was like, what is this? Or I would talk about somebody, and then that person would show up like at Walmart, be like, what is this? And so I was like, well, let me start asking questions and see if I can get answers. So I started asking questions about herbs. I was like, I learned that like I learned my first herb was alfalfa, that it could help people. And I was like, alfalfa can actually help people? They give this to horses. What? And so I asked questions. I was like, well, what else can herbs cure and heal and treat?
Right.
And literally, like within like a month or a couple months, I learned about 200 different plants. All this information started coming to me, and I started making teas. And then my teas were being prescribed by doctors. And I was like, what is this? So all this stuff happened to me in this flow state. Like I could hear better, I could see things clearer, like my taste was better. I was like, what is this? I could read something like, me and my lady, we were at a restaurant, and there was a guy at the table over, and he was talking about Carl Jung, like individuation. And so I was overhearing him, and then I went and talked to him, and I started saying some things. I don't even remember what I said, but the guy was like, I've been a psych major now, and I'm about to graduate, and I've never, not even the professors, I've never heard them talk about this in the way you just described it in detail. And I was like, oh shit, what's going on? So it's like, basically, we are the source. You are the source. The power is within you. All your reality is like within you. And this is a mirror. Now we're just getting into it. This is a mirror. Me, I am a mirror to you. I am a different version of you here. There's a version of you that is like this, and you are seeing this person, and I'm here to help you, give you gifts to push you along your journey in life, right?
Huh.
So I just jumped ahead a little bit. I'm
So
sorry.
like what you're trying to say is like I'm trying to jump myself ahead as well, that if you're helping other people to be better, or if you're giving people a gift of doing something nice and kindness, then it will come back to you. Ultimately, you make yourself happier by helping other people.
Yes, that's the secret, one of them.
Do you think you can make yourself happier without other people?
Yes, but I think it will attract people. Whatever you spend time doing in here, that's what you attract. You attract it to you. Different. So in my new book, Trigger Miracles, I talk about the antagonist. What is your knowledge or definition on what the antagonist is?
I mean, enemy?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So a lot of people talk about the antagonist as the bad guy, right? Like that's what we see in movies.
Right.
But the antagonist isn't necessarily the bad guy. It's just someone to push you along the journey, right? So I love how your mind, it goes to a place you're like, how's it? So, so the truth is everybody in your life is an antagonist. An antagonist is just someone that pushes you or pulls you in a direction. So in my book, I'm very specific with two types of antagonists. You have the antagonists that pull you. Those are people maybe like that you grew up with, your friends, family, coworkers in a past reality, and they're pulling you into something that you're not wanting to be in, right? You're trying to get away from it. And they're pulling you back into that reality. That's when they appear in your life, when you're trying to do something new, right? And then you have the antagonists who push you forward in life into a specific belief. That's the secret. I keep saying that. It's the key, is the belief. Depending on what your belief is the antagonist that will show up in your life, right? So for Batman, Joker didn't show up until Batman said, hey, I'm going to be a vigilante, and I'm going to start going around fighting crime. He met a mirrored version of himself, a vigilante, doing all types of stuff, right? So that's the secret is I keep saying it. That's a good book, though, The Secret. But it's the antagonists, they will appear in your life when you change your belief, okay? Whenever you change your belief, or like you said, now you're transitioning into something new. So you're about to start having, you probably have already, had new antagonists come into your life to push you further in that journey. When someone suffers from depression, they've entertained negative thoughts, and those negative thoughts have started to form new antagonists in their lives to further them into the depression. So if someone doesn't come in and intercede and pull them out of it, they're just going to go further down into that spiral, right? And the same way for someone who's embettering their life. Once they get started on that journey, if they listen and be aware, new people will come into their lives to push them forward. So to give you an example, in a lifetime, there was a time I was a fine art photographer, right? But I wasn't getting paid to do prints. I was just taking photos, right? Mm-hmm. And so I decided I wanted to like make money off prints. Mm-hmm. So literally, like I said, we do all these shows. We do like 30 shows a year. The next week or weekend, we went to a show, and there were like 5 fine art photographers at this event. And I'd never seen that before. I was like, what is going on? And so I went to one of them, and I went to another, and they were all there like a video game. They were all there to give me nuggets of wealth for me and my business. And so that's like, when you start seeing it like that, you start saying, okay, this is crazy.
So I guess like whenever you meet antagonists, for which kind, you will know, right?
Yeah, one is pushing, one is pulling. And so what I mean by that is, when you decide, you say, okay, I'm going to change my life, or I'm going to stop doing this. I'll give you an example. There was a time when I said, just a small example. There was a time I said I wasn't going to eat pork anymore, right?
Right.
I said, I'm not going to eat pork anymore. It's 8 o'clock at night. Like, who is this at late at night? I open the door. It's a delivery man there with a slab of ribs. And I'm like, what? I didn't even know they delivered ribs. And he was like, yeah, your friend from
What, you in Kansas City?
from Colorado. No, he said your friend from Colorado sent him to your house. We were like, what?
Yeah.
And so literally like the next day, my wife's dad called and said, hey, I have a slab of ribs for you. I was like, what? Yeah. What is this? And then I go see my dad on the other side of town, and he brings me some pork. I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah.
And so it's like, once you decide to stop, and this is what people call tests.
Yeah.
But it's not tests, it's just past antagonists, because the antagonist isn't good or bad. You got to stop looking at things as good and bad. We give that power, but we can talk about that later.
Yeah.
An antagonist, their job is to make you comfortable in a reality. That's their whole job, is to make you comfortable in a reality. And the moment you decide, I don't want to be in this reality anymore, then that's when they start acting crazy. And they start showing up out of nowhere, doing things, or first they try to offer you gifts, right? So you'll stay in that reality. This could be like if someone was at a job and they were like, I don't want to be here anymore. Their boss could show up the next day with a raise, say, hey, I want to give you a raise, to try to convince that person to stay in that reality.
Yeah.
But once that person like draws that line in the sand, that's when the antagonists start to get hostile. And that's what we see on films as the bad guy, right? But that only happened because it was triggered. So the secret to this, because I know a lot of people are dealing with this, and trauma also is an antagonist, because this is a past thing that keeps on bothering, right? And trying to pull you back into that reality. So the way you get over it is to love it. You have to love your enemy, right? You love the trauma. You say, okay, I'm going back to this time where this trauma happened. How can I appreciate this moment? What did this moment show me, right? So to give you an example in your life, we talked about people might have been mean to you as a child, right? Well, that pushed you to the point where you became this amazing MMA fighter. You can whoop some people's ass, you take some names, you know what I mean? You do all this stuff, but it's also showed you how to be strong and endure, and like not even like like it doesn't even faze you. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that's you going back and appreciating that moment. And so now that you've done that, now that moment, it leaves you alone. That's I'm about to say that's the secret, but again, it is. When you give energy to the things, remember we talked about your inner God. When you give energy to something, you attract it closer to you. So a lot of people, they give energy to the negative things and they just bring it closer to them and they can't escape it. They can't shake it. They're like, why in this? It's because you have to love it. And once you love it, right? And so in my book, I talk about
letting things go,
letting it go, right? Even with manifesting, a lot of the teachers, they'll talk about you think about what you want and then you let it go, right? It's because, so I talk about it in my book. There's a chapter called The Science of Manifesting. Yeah. And I describe it as magnets. So are you familiar with like magnetism, how it works? Mm-mm. So with magnets, you have like a south pole and a north pole. Well, if you put two magnets together, the south pole and the south pole, what does it do? It, right? It reflects. Yeah. But if you take the opposites, it brings it together. Right. So your heart is producing a magnetic signal. So your heart is a magnet, right? So if it's something, the opposite thing is what you're attracting, right? That's why people chase money. It's because they get close to it and then it runs away and they have to keep, because they love or they want money so much. It's the same frequency and it's just bouncing off of them. So you ask yourself, so does that mean I have to hate money? Yeah, you can hate money and it will attract it to you. But the best way to gain money is to let it go. So that's why, again, there's so many scriptures out there about giving to the homeless. Like because when you give out money, you bring it to you. Yeah. It's magnetism. I mean,
that's kind of how economy works too, right?
Right.
I thought that was like a beautiful saying about the negative thoughts turning into love it, right? I think it resonate with me more than you just saying turning negative to positivity. Yeah. It's really hard, but if you're thinking about the negative things to love it, I think it's just a beautiful thing because it's not even like a letting go at that point. It's kind of like you're holding on to it as some sort of treasure almost, some sort of this is who you are because what happened in the past, who I am. That's why I am who I am or whatever. And then if you're loving that part of yourself, and then there is not going to be anything you don't love yourself. Right. I think it's a very, very beautiful thing. I never thought it that way.
Well, I'm glad to be here. Thank you. But I'll say this. When you are, because that's what I deal with like manifesting realities and hopping through. Like I said, I've lived a lot of lives, like so many fun lives. And it's very important that because a lot of people are going through these transitions now with relationships, with their work, with all types of things. It's very important that when you're letting that go, you have the new reality ready. And that's what that is, writing it down, creating it, so that you are bringing in, just as you're letting go, you're bringing in the new antagonists to push you forward into their lives and to show you how to do whatever it is you want to do in life.
Do you think what makes you happiness, or what makes you happy changes over and over again?
Yeah, honestly, I think we're never satisfied, but not in a bad way, in a exploratory, we're having an adventure type of way where, because I've seen it with me and my wife's business where we went from we sell healing lotions and stuff. That's one of the things we do. And so we go to shows, and I remember the first thing we just wanted a show. Yeah. And so literally I went to Office Depot, it was like the next day, and a lady right next to me, she was like, oh, hey. She's like, yeah, I put on shows. Right. I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, we did it, manifested. So we did the show. We get to the show, and we're like, wow, we made a couple $100. This is cool. Yeah. A lady comes to us, an antagonist, and she says, this show sucks. She's like, there's nobody here.
Yeah.
And we're like, what? What are you talking about? We made a couple bucks. We're cool.
Yeah.
She's like, no, let me tell you. And she literally broke it down to us what we're supposed to look for going to shows.
Yeah.
So she kept pushing us in our direction. So we're like, okay. So we followed her instructions. And then we started making we made like $500 at a show. And we were like, wow, this is cool. Can we do more? Like, this is okay, but can we do more? Like, what about $1,000 a show? And so literally, like, I don't remember, it was like a show or two later, we did what she said, and we made $1,000. And we were like, what is this? And so we kept getting unsatisfied and then pushing ourselves to another thing.
Right.
People are doing that with everything in life all the time.
Yeah.
Right.
True.
Especially with relationships. I think that relationships, they're constantly like, you get unsatisfied with whatever this is, and it's like you have to rearrange things and do something new to bring in that new energy into the relationship. Right. You and your couple, you're like a flower. You got to continue to grow.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyways.
So don't bring new things, you saying?
Huh?
What are you talking about? Because a lot of couples like they have needs to bring in new things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that you're trying to say, is that a bad thing or is that a good thing?
No, it's good. It's good. Now, when I say new things, I'm not talking, and some people are down with that. I'm not talking like another person.
Yeah.
I mean like as in what the couple is desiring, what your partner is desiring. Your partner might have started off at a job doing something, but then 2-3 years in, they don't want to do that anymore. As a partner, you're not supposed to say, no, you need to stay there and try to keep them in that spot because they're trying to grow. And so you need to say, okay, how can I assist, right? So now we're talking about partners. I'd like to talk a little bit more about the mirror reality. Is that okay? Or do you have some questions?
No, go ahead. I'm interested about this.
So your partner is your mirror, okay? Your partner is you. So in the book, when I talk about the antagonists, and the last of it, I say all is one. The antagonists, they come into your life. Oh, we're about to get really deep, brother. Because they are projections from your subconscious mind. So we're getting deep. Are you ready? It's going to be heavy. Are you ready? You are God. Do you understand? You are the God of your reality. And there are infinite realities. That's why there are 8 billion people on this earth, all living different realities all at once. And at any time, you could hop into one of those and do what you want to do in that thing, hop out, go somewhere else. But creation comes from you, right? It comes from here, it comes from here. That's why when you entertain your thoughts, that's what happens. Because those thoughts are your children. You give birth to creation through your imagination. That's what visualization is, right? And so all together, as a whole, we all make up God as a whole, right? But we are all like a body or a cell. We're all a part of that one body. So I know I keep referring to Christianity. Maybe you have some Christian listeners that need to hear this. But in the Bible, they talk about Christ. Well, Christ is the body. He keeps talking about it. It's like, this is the body. Jesus is a person, Yeshua, but Christ is a body, right? And in that body, that's everything. But individually, you are God. That's why he said, if you've seen me, you've seen the Father. It's because he is God. You're God. I'm God. We're all God. And we all have the ability to create our own realities. That's the beautiful thing that we have on this earth. We can do whatever we want to do. It's just people don't know this information, so they kind of do some fucked up shit. Excuse my language. But again, they're just antagonists pushing the thing forward.
So what are you saying about your partner is your mirror?
So, as the God of your reality, everyone that enters your life is a different version of you experiencing life. So, to give you a better understanding on that, do you know about the subconscious and conscious mind? So your conscious mind is the mind that moves forward. Okay, the subconscious mind is like a computer. It's holding in all this information of your experiences, right? So your subconscious will, and it's habitual. So it wants to keep you comfortable in wherever you are. It's not good or bad. It just wants to keep you comfortable.
Right.
So when you're in a specific reality, it will bring about people, antagonists, to you to keep you comfortable in that reality. Those are projections that are coming from your subconscious mind, okay? So, like, think of it like a movie projector, because we're talking about, like, dimensions and reality. So think of it like a movie projector. A movie projector, it shoots out light, and then it shows an image. Well, that's what this is doing. It's shooting out a light, and it's producing an image in front of it. And your thoughts combined with it create whatever movie you're watching, okay? And so the antagonists that enter your life, these are projections from your subconscious or conscious mind. So when you decide to do something new in your life, that's your conscious mind moving forward, right? Because your conscious mind is constantly converting the subconscious mind to create like an algorithm, right? Like a program. Kind of like a computer, matrix, whatever they call it, simulation. But that's what it's doing. It's creating that. So the more you go out and venture and have experiences, you're filling up your subconscious mind with this belief, and it will keep showing you things in this belief. So to make that make sense, take someone who is in religion, and they say, this deity brings me happiness, right? They give the deity the happiness. Well, now, because that's their belief, they will constantly see things come to them that trigger that belief. So people will show up and they'll do things in their life and they'll give credit to the deity. Does that make sense? But the truth is that power is coming from within. Does that make sense?
That does make sense.
Okay, so.
I mean, honestly, like what you're saying is kind of like, if you're subconscious, you are creating your reality, and then whoever comes to your life, either good or bad, I mean, there's no way knowing that. But like, if your partner is going through something, or like you're with somebody, it's just for some reason you created that reality to yourself. Mm-hmm. But also, they did the same thing probably.
So I should have, because we were headed there, but I took too long. I'm sorry. To get to the spouse part, your partner is a reflection. So whatever's going on with your partner is a physical manifestation of what's going on within you, right? Because you're invisible, your emotions, your thoughts are triggering something in front of you. And your partner, because they're the closest thing to you, they are mirroring what you're projecting. Okay, so this used to happen. I know my wife, she doesn't like me talking about our business, but I'll go ahead. There were times where we would get into it and she would come at me and I'd be like, babe, what's going on? Why are you like? And then I finally realized it was me. It's because of the energy that I'm projecting. She is, because you have to match it. The people around you have to match your energy. If they don't match your energy, then you're going to have conflict, or they're just going to leave your life, right? Mm-hmm. So I would be worried about something, whether it was bills or whatever it was. I would be worried, and she would be projecting. I would be projecting it, and she was just reflecting it back to me. She's my mirror, right? So that's so I was like, once I realized this, I was like, well, I'm going to just shower her with love, like constant love, and see how this works. Bro, I'm telling you. She was cooking for me every day. She still does. Cooks for me every day, like bringing me treasures. And that's one of the things I made in my affirmations. I said, my wife brings me treasure. My children bring me joy. Because your children are your mirror too, right? And now that's a belief in my life, now I see it. I see it every day. She comes and says something. Remember we talked about Hawaii? So once I came to this understanding, she came to me one day. She said, honey, because I've been wanting to go for a while. She said, honey, I found tickets to Hawaii for $500 a person. And that's flight and hotel. I was like, what? So she brings these things to me now. She's my mirror, right? So If I love myself, then she loves me. If I hate myself, she's going to be at me, right? So that's why we talked about this earlier, finding you got to love yourself like that book said. You have to love yourself. But these constant negative that's the interference keeping you from realizing the true power within.
That is beautiful. I mean, thank you so much.
Hey man,
I
we're not
know,
done yet, are we?
I mean, I know you're a busy man, and then I hope you come back some point.
Yeah.
I
Is
enjoy
there
it so much.
is there anything else?
No, I mean I mean I was gonna ask you like, is
Go
there anything
ahead.
else you want
I
to
just
talk about?
I wanted to hold your hand. That's it. I wasn't saying I was gone.
Yeah.
What do we got on time?
We're like about 5 minutes over of what we said. So
What time is it?
1:35.
Okay, let's do 5 more minutes, or you want 10 more minutes?
I mean, whatever. I'm not going anywhere.
Okay.
It's up to you.
See, I just talked about my wife, but I don't want to get in trouble. So let's 5 more minutes.
Okay.
Anything else that you want to talk about while I'm here?
I was thinking, like, the last thing I was thinking about it's like positive energy and the shower with your love, with the significant other and stuff. That I think that's a beautiful thing, and I think I'm gonna implement it. I think I'm trying to do it, and I think I'm doing it. However, I have sometimes I've been thinking about this. There's like hard decision, happy life, right? Easy decision, hard life. And then you have to struggle to become successful. You have to struggle to something to compare to be happy, because if you don't have, even like a superhero movie or something like that, you always get like some guy gets superhero power, gets a girlfriend, then everything's good, goes south, right? And they go struggle, and they defeat antagonists or whatever. Then they get a girl again or whatever, and then they become happy. That's like a superhero story.
Right.
And then every life is not like happy all the time or whatever, right?
Right.
So, but like we're talking about, we have to think about positivity, all that kind of stuff. Appreciation. I think sometimes I find myself seeking the struggle, seeking the risk, seeking the challenge.
Yeah.
I don't know that's like healthy things.
It's because you're hard on yourself.
Yeah.
Because people were hard on you, and you kept it in you.
But I think that's good for me sometimes, like, because if I was not hard on myself, then like if I don't go to gym or something like that, like let myself go, some sort of discipline, I respect the value of the discipline. You know what I mean? So where should I draw the line of like, happiness, positive thinking all the time, to like sometimes just bite the tongue to do the things I don't want to do,
I think that's very dualistic, right? I would say throw that concept out the window of easy or hard, but if I do the hard, I'm going to gain. Sometimes if you do the easy, you get more, right? You get to choose what you decide to be hard or easy. It's relative, right? And that's one of the things with our powers. We make things hard, we make things easy. What you do in the gym, to you, is probably easier now. But to me, if I jumped in there, I would say, this is some hard shit. What is he doing? So, you feel me?
Yeah.
So I would say that the trick is to just enjoy it all. Enjoy it. So if you're going to the gym, instead of thinking of it as, I have to be disciplined, and think of it as, I'm gaining from this. This is my time. I'm doing this for my body. Because I do this mentally all the time for myself. Like, I have to, what I call fast thoughts. So that means not turning on the TV or not getting on social media, which to the average person, that might be really hard. Auditing your thoughts, that too, you could see that as a discipline. I mean, monks do that, right? They isolate themselves so they don't have all these distractions.
Yeah.
But I've found ways to enjoy it because I know what I'm gaining from it. I have control over my reality. And man, it's beautiful. So I hope that helped. I would say whatever you do, learn to enjoy it. And the thing that you're doing, it will bring more treasure to you, right? So, for instance, if it's like working out or something, instead of looking at it as this discipline, look at it as this pleasure. And this thing, whenever I do this, I'm going to get something out of it every time. Just stepping in the gym, something amazing is going to happen to me. Like you can what I love about it is you get to name anything you're around, and you can name it as good or evil. So going back real quick, when you look at in the Bible, they talk about the Garden of Eden, and they talk about there was 2 trees in the garden. There was the tree of life, and there's the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, right? Well, man ate from that tree, and then a bunch of stuff happened, right? Cain killed Abel and all this stuff. So that tree is good and evil. It's dualism. It's the ability to name something evil or to name something good, because it's all one. It's just all God. It's all energy, right? We have that ability to name something evil and give it that power. It's like children. I don't know if I said that earlier. Your thoughts are your children because they come out of you, right? So you could say, man, that boy, he's hard-headed or something. He'll grow up to be hard-headed. Or you'll say, that boy's evil. He'll grow up to be a serial killer. Yeah. Say, no, he's an angel. And then he grows up to help people, right? So we have this ability with everything around us, right? Even this necklace, even like the stuff we wear, or you go to the gym, you name it, you claim it. You either bless it or you curse it. And by doing that, your activities, you bless them. Say, no, this is about to bring me joy. And then you'll see it and you'll be like, what? Like you'll start to see it more and more and more till literally you're just walking through. Like you're like, okay, it's like a video game. It's like taking that controller and just holding on to it and just going wherever you want to go. Like,
it comes from within.
Yeah, within. It's all within. Your universe is within. You're a star, like a literal star. We could talk about that later. But that was something that came to me was like, you're a star. And I was like, what? It was like, no, you're an actual star. And I was like, right. And then what they call downloads, I received that stuff. And then I went and I Googled it, and it was like, scientists have just discovered humans are yada yada 90% stardust. I'm like, what? So we actually are stars. And I started this was when I was reading scriptures back in the day. And so I started reading that scripture where Abraham was talking about counting the stars and I'll be your children and offspring. And I started looking at the Hebrew. I was like, it doesn't say as many as the stars. It says your children will be stars. I was like, what? So we are stars, bro. The sun is an example of our power, because we're all suns. And whatever we give light to, our energy to, it appears like the sun. The sun shines its light, it appears. Yeah. Like that is us. Even the sun, like the seasons, I don't know if you've heard of this, but that's the representation of man. Like the spring, which is the actual new year, the spring is life. Life comes up. The sun realizes what he is, and he's rising. And then the sun gets too high, and he gets hot, and then he scorches the earth. Everything starts to die. And then that's the fall of man. And then you get winter, where man is dead, and then he has to go through that cycle again. So when he talks about the 7th day, right, God rested. He created men on the 6th day. He put his light in man. Man started killing each other, and God went to sleep in man, right? And so right now we're all waking up. So,
man, that's crazy because you say stars, and what we all talk about is like, I have a tattoo on my ribcage say I actually have a star, and then I actually have a saying say, what you give is what you get.
Man, look at here, brother.
So I think that's I mean, I don't know why I got that tattoo, but honestly, that's a cool meaning I can have now. Yeah. But how can people find you, and how can people buy your book, or where to go?
So my books are on Amazon. Just look up Zacharyah, like Zacharyah Lee Jones. My new book is called Trigger Miracles. I have a book about herbs, 50 of Oklahoma's most powerful plants, and it's like a guidebook to where you can see, oh, what is that? And then you look in the book and it shows you all the things that it heals. I have a book called Be the Conductor of Your Own Train of Thought, and that's a really good one. A lot of dualism in that one. And then I have a new one that I'm working on, and it's like an affirmation Bible. So like what we just did, that thing, this will be like all the book. And so instead of like creating, you just go in there, by like word, look it up. Oh, health, or longevity. 20, 50, 100 affirmations about longevity.
Yeah.
So that one's on its way. But they can also find me on the Instagram at Zach the Life Coach, just ZACH, the Life Coach, same Gmail, and yeah.
Perfect. I mean, I'm gonna put all the things he says down on the description, and then if you guys are watching YouTube, I appreciate you guys coming back every Friday, and please like and comment. What did you learn, and what do you think about what he was saying? Like, do you agree? Do you disagree? I don't know. Like, let us know in the comment. And if you are listening to a Spotify or iTunes or any other podcast platform, I would like you guys to give us a 5-star review. I'm not sure what it does, but positive energy does everything. So please do give us a good review and the positive vibes. And then we'll be back on next Friday. And then thank you guys for coming. Peace.
Yeah. Appreciate you, King.
Appreciate you.